Good morning, everyone. I hope you are all well, and thank you once again for joining us for what is our last episode in our PLM Modernization series. As always, if you've missed any of our previous sessions, then they are all available on demand on our website. So you feel free to go back at any point and rewatch any of the ones you may have missed so far. But let's start off by having a quick look at the agenda for what I'm going to cover today. Again, I'll do a little overview of PDS Vision for maybe those of you that aren't aware of who we are. We'll take a look back at the series and the individual episodes, and we'll do a bit of a dive into some of the key topics that we've covered throughout this series. So we have 5 episodes that we've already done. We'll then have a look at some collaboration, why that's important within a business and an organization, and how you can access the right information. How we can better understand and communicate change across our business, as well as then looking at things like connecting the shop floor for manufacturing work instructions and those sorts of things. And as always, we will wrap up with a bit of Q&A at the end. So please do leverage the built-in question and comments functionality. We'll review those as we go through, and we'll answer any questions at the end. A little bit about myself then. My name is Rory Island Bocott. I'm a customer success manager here at PDS Vision. So I've got a bit of over a decade of experience with the PTC portfolio, covering CAD, IoT, PLM, AR, majority of the products really. Bit of a jack of all trades and master of none, I suppose. But I've pretty much spent all of that decade of experience with PDS Vision, or previously Root Solutions, as we were here in the UK. But for those of you who may not be aware of PDS Vision, I'll just run through who we are for that last time in this episode. So we're a global business. We span 16 different locations across the globe. We've got over 500 employees, with over 300 of those having a technical focus in their day-to-day goings on. So our expertise encompasses the entire PTC portfolio, along with the ANSYS technology, as well as our own range of My PDS apps, which is something I'm going to talk a little bit more about today, as we're going to sort of have a look at some of these PDS Vision apps that leverage and aid collaboration within the enterprise. So before we get onto the main topic of today, I thought, as this is the last episode of the series, it'd be a good idea to just have a bit of a recap of what we've covered so far, what we've talked about, and some of the key topics. And again, if you've missed any of these episodes, they are available on demand on our website, so please do have a look at those. So we started then in episode 1, and we were talking about the transition of moving from a product data management system to a product lifecycle management system. And we discussed how PLM impacts the wider business, extending beyond engineering and fostering better communication across the departments within businesses, and breaking down where we often find those silos of information, engineering through to manufacturing, through to service, those sorts of things. We introduced the concept of a part-centric focused PLM, where our product data is organized around individual parts rather than documents or drawings, those sorts of things, which improves traceability and aids the change process within a business. Finally, then we looked at how Windchill handles data to support that shift, and providing that centralized repository for all of this product data, and managing it through its entire product lifecycle. In episode 2, then we delved into the essentials of engineering bill of materials management, again emphasizing the shift from a CAD-centric to a part-centric structure. We highlighted how transitioning from CAD files to that part-driven approach simplifies the organization and management of a bill of materials. This method also brings significant advantages when it comes to scalability, collaboration, and the relationship between different business objects, and finding out where things are used in our product lines and those sorts of things. Additionally, we also showcased how you can go about creating these part structures within Windchill and the different methods that you can use. Episode 3, then we built upon that solid foundation of PLM best practice, with that part-centric approach, and we took it to the next level. So we highlighted the significance of things like part classification to categorize and manage our components, being that enables us to maximize the sort of reuse of those components throughout our products and our systems. We discussed the benefits of adopting a dual BOM strategy, so that top-down and bottom-up approach, which provides the business with the organization and structure required while offering design flexibility when it's needed. We also explored the value of integrating sort of supplier information into the system, so providing end users with information from purchasing to make more informed decisions on what components and parts should be used within a product. Lastly, we also looked at ways to incorporate non-CAD objects into our engineering bill of materials, such as software, manuals, consumable material like oil or paint, those sorts of things. Ensuring that all relevant data that is associated and describing our products is included in that bill of materials. Episode 4 then was all about configuration management and how Windchill helps control product complexity. We all know our products are getting much more complicated these days, and having a system in place to aid with that is really, really handy. So we looked at managing changes to product structures over time, which is crucial for keeping pace with that design evolution. We talked about how different departments require different views of the product structure and how PLM supports this. So engineering require different information from the bill of materials than manufacturing per se, or they require extra components to be involved within their bill of materials. We talked about part effectivity to help dictate and manage when parts became effective in production. And then finally, we touched on advanced product configuration, showing how Windchill can support modular or more option-based products for manufacturing methods like made to order or assembled to order, those sorts of operations. Lastly then, episode 5 was all focused on change management and why effective change control is a real crucial topic for any business, especially in the engineering space. So we explore Windchill's built-in change capabilities with things like problem reports, change requests, and change notices, and how all of those support collaboration within the business and communicate those changes to all of the stakeholders that are involved, no matter where they are within the business. And the big takeaway from that was the value of having a standardized and traceable change process, which reduces risks, improves decision making, and ensures everyone stays aligned within the business. So, bit of a summary. I thought, as it's the last episode, it's worth just taking a slightly more detailed look at what we've covered in the past. So hopefully that's refreshed all of your minds and got you up to speed on where we are. But today then is about enterprise collaboration. What it is, what are the tools that PLM or Windchill have to offer to enable better collaboration across the business. So improving collaboration, start that one again. Improving collaboration across the organization is a big part of most digital transformation efforts and a crucial step towards building a strong connected digital thread. So as I've said multiple times before, that digital thread is all about that seamless flow of data. And without communication, you're very unlikely going to be able to achieve that. So collaboration is a big part of any digital transformation strategy. Before we take a look at some of the solutions, though, let's talk some challenges. So collaboration often breaks down long before our products ever get built, right? From siloed teams to inefficient tools and incorrect data, these sort of symptoms show up everywhere. You have rework, we have delays, you get confusion and frustration in the workforce, those sorts of things. And it doesn't really matter where you sit in the business, whether that's engineering, purchasing, or quality. You've probably hit one of these barriers that's on screen at some point in the past. So when collaboration fails, it becomes more than just an inconvenience. It can end up wasted time, either yours or someone else's. It could be a loss of revenue, or ultimately a loss of trust among staff and the workforce. Not relying on the correct data can become a big source of frustration. However, when we do get collaboration right, when people across the business can access the right data, it's in context and it's data that they can trust, everything begins to click and it all starts to work. Engineering can work faster, manufacturing can get things right first time because they've got the right data, and purchasing can avoid costly mistakes. So collaboration then isn't just about being aligned, it's also about empowering your workforce and reducing friction across the business. And when used properly, PLM can become this sort of hub, or this sort of system hub that keeps all of these departments, tools, and functions connected. So we're going to take a look at some individual tools across sort of different departments and how they can enable your business to collaborate more effectively. Now, there are a lot of different solutions within Windchill that can help. We don't have time to run through them all today. So I've just cherry picked a few interesting ones out that I think will be of benefit to you all. So we'll start with one of the most fundamental collaboration needs, which is finding the right data. PLM systems are huge. They store a lot of information. Making sure your users have access to it is really key. So whether you're in engineering, purchasing, or service, if you can't access the information you need, it's not just frustrating, but you ultimately end up wasting your time or someone else's time, or you run the risk of working with outdated or incorrect data if you're outside of that system. So that's why the first tool I'm bringing up is one of our own. It's My PDS Search, which was developed by us, and it's really designed to extend the sort of reach and visibility of PLM or Windchill across the business. So it provides a highly configurable user interface for retrieving and viewing content from within Windchill. So again, whether you're in purchasing, manufacturing, or engineering, it gives you a reliable and fast means to access data that is stored within the PLM system. So, as I said, finding the right data quickly is essential for effective decision making. But in many traditional systems, it can be slow and fragmented. And also, if you're not familiar with the tools, especially something like Windchill, which can be quite complex and powerful, those tools can feel quite daunting. So having something like My PDS Search, which is very simple to use, enables users to go in and find what they are after nice and quickly. So search brings everything together in one place. It allows users to search across parts, drawings, documents, 3D models in a simple, easy to understand user interface. So by centralizing that search process, it not only improves productivity in your workforce, but it reduces the burden on those responsible for managing the data. Often we see engineering getting bogged down by requests from other departments for access to drawings, screenshots of CAD data, that sort of stuff. So expanding that reach of PLM to other users is only a good thing. So let's take a little look at search in action. We're not going to go too deep, but My PDS Search is a browser-based tool and is accessible by anyone that you give access to. And it's a way of searching and interrogating data that's stored within PLM via a simple and easy to understand user interface. So on screen here, the user is performing some simple searches for things like drawings, documents, or it could be 3D files like step files as well that are stored within the PLM tool. So once these searches are appendable, so as you can see, as we're searching, the list builds up and up. Or, things like when you're searching in Windchill, you can often find yourself in a situation where you find one thing, you lose it when you then go and search for another item. So My PDS Search, you can build these sort of appended lists of information. Meanwhile, having all of the access that you may still need to products like Windchill. So My PDS Search can also come in different flavors. You can tailor and configure the view for different departments. So here we're sort of taking on the role more of a purchasing person. So they may be more interested in the bill of material structure and being able to export that into third-party systems or downstream. So searching at a top level part item, we can find all the lower level components that are in that part structure. My PDS search then gives us the ability to export this information into an easy to consume Excel file that has all of the information that is required. Again, these can be branded exports, so you can have them branded to your company colors and tailor the information that's displayed in them as well. Another thing, a lot of the tools and functionality for my PDS search have come from customer feedback. So, when we were talking to purchasing, they deal a lot with Excel files. So in this example here, what we're showing is an Excel file being used to search and retrieve data from within the PLM system. In this case, we're looking for all the latest state information, but you could, again, restrict users based upon released information or, in production. You can, a lot of control over what your users see. Finally, then we can swap over to maybe a more manufacturing view, which is a really cut down view and simply used for retrieving drawings from within the system. If you've got people on the shop floor that are following a set of work instructions and they need to follow a sequence of drawings, or maybe quality want to do the same, you can use the built-in inline viewer for users to quickly follow through a series of drawings on screen on the shop floor. So my PDS search, highly configurable. You can have multiple different views for different departments within the business and gives everyone an extremely easy to use tool that can access and pull information out of the PLM tool. So for those infrequent users, then Windchill can often feel a bit complex and off-putting, which leads to delays, data requests from other users within the business, or ultimately mistakes. So my PDS search is designed to simplify that access and reduce the burden on those power users, making everyone more self-sufficient. It eliminates certainty, ensures users get the latest data, and automates repetitive lookup tasks. So we didn't show there, but you can have these sort of saved searches via URLs to perform the same search actions. Lots of different departments are often searching for the same stuff over and over again. We can help automate that. Search provides a clean and user-friendly interface that makes finding product data fast and intuitive. Whether, again, you're in engineering, purchasing, quality, you can locate those drawings, documents, parts, and related objects without needing that deep Windchill knowledge. Something, again, we didn't show, but is a capability with my PDS search is what we call on-demand publishing. So users are often requesting, as I mentioned earlier, from people in engineering, can I have that drawing? Can I have a step file of this model? With on-demand publishing search, users can generate those files automatically from within the system, freeing up your engineers to get on with the engineering work. So collaboration is often at its best when users can see and understand the product they're talking about. However, not everyone in the business has access to CAD tools or the skills to use them. And that's where a product like CreaView comes in really, really handy. So CreaView is something that we've used or I've used throughout this webinar series. So I'm not going to spend any time sort of demonstrating it, but it's still an extremely powerful collaboration tool and definitely deserves a mention. So, it enables anyone in the business to view and interrogate both 2D and 3D product data without needing access to heavy use CAD tools like Creo Parametric, for example. So whether that's someone in purchasing reviewing a part for maybe geometry, or a quality engineer checking a drawing, or maybe a service planner looking at a product structure, CreaView is a tool in which we can use to facilitate that. It removes the dependency again on engineering for requests of screenshots of CAD data or file conversions. Again, users and stakeholders can generate this information themselves or use it in combination with a tool like my PDS search to retrieve the data and then open that data in CreaView to get a better understanding of it. CreaView supports multiple different file formats. We can import native Creo Parametric data. We can open up neutral formats like STEP and IGES files as well, along with PDFs. And the data you're looking at is accurate. So you can measure the geometry, you can annotate it and mark up that information. As we saw when we were talking about change within Windchill, we can use CreaView to help communicate what is going on in a change process. It's also capable of doing things like mass properties. So again, users outside of the system don't have to have these heavy hitting applications in order to generate what could be quite complicated information, or center of gravity and those sorts of things as well. So you can you can view the entire product structures interactively. Again, both 2D and 3D models all linked together. Again, that gives context and traceability and confidence in what it is you're currently looking at. So CreaView, it removes the technical barrier for those non-CAD users. Okay, it can prevent version mix-up, giving people access to the latest and greatest information. Again, if we're using that in combination with search, they can pull the latest information from Windchill and view it within CreaView. Empowers better decisions across departments by making models and drawings accessible and interactive. You can push and pull components around. You can put sections through 3D data. So instead of slowing the business down for things like screenshots and conversions, you can enable your staff to become more self-service, okay, and they can generate this information themselves. So at some point, someone, whether that's inside or outside of the business, needs to understand what's changing or what's already changed or what's being affected by a change. And that's exactly where my PDS report comes in. So it's another one of our in-house developed apps based off user feedback and communication with our customers. And my PDS report is a suite of configure reports that are built directly within Windchill. And they're designed to make change communication clear, consistent, and easier to share both inside and outside of the business. So what it does, it takes the complexity out of reporting, again, whether that's a change request, a change notice, bill of materials report, or promotion, and presents that data in a clean, customer branded or company branded format that's easy to read and easy to act upon. Okay. So that data clarity is extremely important, especially when change is happening within a business. Often our customers we see struggle to understand what's going on inside a change, who's affected, or where a task sits in the overall approval process. Again, which is another reason why we started to develop my PDS report. It simplifies communication of change through these branded reports that are generated within Windchill, making it easier to keep everyone aligned again across the business, from engineering to purchasing and even outside the business as well. So yeah, even those non-PLM users can get an understanding of a change process. So my PDS report is designed to simplify and streamline the way change information is communicated across the business. It allows you to generate a range of reports, including change request and change notice summaries, promotion request summaries, and even BOM reports as well. So reports can be generated manually, as I'm showing in this example on screen, or can be configured to be generated automatically as part of a Windchill workflow, requiring less manual effort from users in the system. So in this example, we're generating a PDF for a change request summary, and you'll see the output is branded, clearly structured, and the layout makes it simple to understand key information such as customer attributes, related change objects, and even impacted end items. So let's now move on and create a change notice report. And as I'm sure you're all aware, changes can involve many different objects across multiple different functions within the business. And these reports really help distill that complexity into a concise, consumable document that can be generated on demand or automatically, as we talked about. You can also attach these objects you can also attach these documents to the change objects themselves, so supporting traceability, compliance, and communication. And because they follow a standardized format, they're really ideal for sharing both internally and externally with users that don't necessarily have access to Windchill. One of the sort of limiting functions of Windchill is you almost have to be a user of the tool to review change information by default. And sometimes the outputted reports that Windchill generate aren't the easiest to understand. So finally, then we can generate a change notice status report. And this gives us a contextual list of change objects and their current status within the system. Key fields, again, such as the number, description, associated process, or customer-defined attributes can be included in these reports, giving you a really good snapshot of the change activity within the system as it currently stands. So these are just a few examples of what my PDS report can generate. There are more reports within the tool, but just as a bit of an example to show you some of the use cases that we can generate here. So without something like my PDS report, reporting often meant hunting through Windchill or dealing with those sort of rigid out-of-the-box templates that aren't particularly configurable. And my PDS report solves those challenges of things like time-consuming analysis, poor formatting, or gaps in communication, especially when you're dealing with maybe non-PLM users who aren't familiar with that interface. So my PDS report brings clarity to what can be maybe one of the most confusing areas of PLM. And so instead of asking engineers to interpret Windchill records or manually building summaries, report can generate these clean, branded reports tailored to those different audiences. Again, whether that's internal stakeholders or downstream departments or external suppliers or partners. So another area of business, and once everything's ready for production, is how do we ensure manufacturing actually see the latest instructions and product data? So that's where a tool like Connected Workcell helps close the gap between these different departments within the business. And also sort of moves into a slightly different area of our IoT platform called ThingWorks. Now, something we talked about earlier in the series was the our configurations, and we briefly touched upon engineering bill of materials and manufacturing bill of materials. And we got a lot of interesting feedback from users on that one. So we're probably going to run a BOM transformation session at some point in the future. And part of that BOM transformation and generating those manufacturing bill of materials is also the downstream processes of that and process plans or routings, as they're sometimes called in ERP, and generating these shop floor work instructions. So that's another functionality that's capable within Windchill. And once we generated those work instructions, we need something like Connected Workcell in order to view and consume that information down on the shop floor. So this is probably something we're going to cover in a lot more detail in a future webinar. But I thought I'd bring it up because it's something that resonates quite well with a lot of our customers. So let's have a quick look at it in a bit more detail. So even with perfect engineering data, things can still fall apart, especially at the point of execution. If you've got disconnected work instructions or paper-based handovers, paper-based work instructions, outdated versions can start creeping in and appearing on the shop floor, and you enter in a whole world of confusion, especially when it comes to managing change. How do you make sure that your work instructions are kept in line with your change processes? So something like Connected Workcell ensures that manufacturing teams are working with live data, straight from PLM, and gives engineering visibility into production performance. So helping to spot things like bottlenecks or issues before they actually become a real world problem. So if we take a look at Connected Workcell then, so as I've said, Connected Workcell is a ThingWorks based application, but communicates and pulls information directly from Windchill, where we can generate these process plans. So as a user on the shop floor, I can log in as my user, and I can retrieve maybe a particular work order, either by logging in as my user when I've been assigned, or I could scan a barcode off the piece of equipment I'm about to work on. And that can go away and retrieve the information required and the work instructions I need to carry out that operation. So with Connected Workcell, again, it's a web-based application, and at the top there you can see we're presented with a series of, I suppose, metadata. We can find the work order number, our start time, the planned end time for this information, And all of this information is being generated within Windchill then. We've also got sort of timeline and the individual steps that are required for the shop floor user to carry out, and users are free to sort of jump backwards and forwards and take a look at all of these individual steps. And then below that, in the sort of main graphics window, then we've actually got the information that the user is going to follow along with, you know, the written instructions, the visual data generated from the 3D CAD in the engineering space. On the right, then, users can provide feedback and information based upon the steps. Maybe they've encountered an issue, or they want to raise a problem report, those sorts of things. They can all do that from within the interface. We can also see that we've got targeted cycle times and the amount of time it should take to complete the whole work order. Again, this is all information that's been set within Windchill. Users are also notified as and when maybe they're overrunning on time. And in the analytical side of things, again, this gives the business an insight into whether things are running on time, and an insight as to why they're not running on time, those sorts of things. Users on the shop floor can also interact with the work instructions a little bit more. We have 3D data, but we can also provide feedback. So maybe I've got a pause for a particular reason, maybe I've got a planned break. Information such as that can be reported and logged within the system. Or maybe I've got to stop the project completely. Maybe there's a quality issue or something on the line's gone wrong and things have to stop. Again, all of that information and data can be collected and analyzed at a later date. So yeah, all of that reporting, again, is another topic. Well, I'm not going to get into too much detail today, but reporting and the link between Windchill. So as and when changes happen, all of these components become linked together and everything gets updated. So connected work cell now, sorry, do that one again. Connected work cell then, it tackles that classic disconnect. So when operations and engineering aren't aligned, things can go wrong, you know, whether that's a visibility issue, a versioning issue, or simply a data handoff. Connected work cell helps solve that by connecting those systems, people, and processes all at real time. So that data they retrieve is being retrieved from Windchill is live and correct. Connected work cell transforms how production interacts with engineering data. Okay, it ensures shop floor teams get those up-to-date instructions, that live data. You know, not only do we have the 2D imagery on connected work cell, but users also have access to that 3D data. So you know how we're talking about Creo viewing, being able to interact with 3D models. You know, a very similar thing on the connected work cell. Users can spin models around, get a better understanding, get better context of what it is they're working on. And all of that means faster setups, better execution, and again, you know, real-time visibility into performance, all of that monitoring capability that comes with it to get an understanding of what's actually going on the shop floor. So as well as offering these PTC developed tools, as we've seen ourselves, PDS Vision also have a wide range of applications that are designed to work seamlessly with these PTC products. A couple of which we've already had a look at today, which is My PDS Report and My PDS Search. But we have a whole raft of other applications, which I thought it was worth just putting up on screen for you to take a look at. Now, this table is available on our website, and all of the information relating to each of these products is also available on our website. So yeah, we've got things like My PDS Easy, My PDS Publish, My PDS Power Pack, which is for Creo Parametric. So you can see we've got lots of different applications that cover the sort of main three PTC products, both Creo, Windchill, and ThingWorx. And as I talked about, there are lots and lots of different collaboration tools available within a PLM tool such as Windchill. Things like My PDS QA, which is great for quality and ensuring, you know, that sort of metadata and things are in Windchill are correctly organized before they move on. So ensuring that all objects are checked in before a change process starts, or those sorts of things. My PDS QA can help ensure your data is accurate and correct. It's a little bit like the topic's just gone from my head. There's one for Creo, model check, which ensures your model data is correct before being checked into Windchill. My PDS QA is that sort of level of checking, but at the Windchill level, for those of you who are familiar with model check. So I think it's always, well, I always like to try and get some feedback from users. So if there are any topics that we've covered today or across the series, I know MPM link and that managing of engineering bill of information to manufacturing bill of materials information was a topic that was of interest. So we're probably going to look at that. But please do leave a comment or a question if you like, and give us some feedback on what maybe you'd like to see next. We have some more webinars coming up. Our next series will be CAD focused, but we're always looking to do sort of more one-offs as well. So please do keep us informed on what it is you'd like to see. But let's bring all of this back to the digital thread. So throughout this series, we've explored Windchill's PLM capabilities, looking at its part-centric approach, supplier integration and configuration management, to name a few. However, implementing Windchill is probably the first step in a major digital transformation. Once Windchill is up and running, it sets the stage for a broader and wider digital transformation strategy. Windchill is that sort of backbone that connects various domains, like manufacturing, engineering, but also other applications like ALM, IoT simulation, SLM. And this integration allows for that real-time data flow and collaboration across the enterprise as a whole. So with a developed strategy, then you can gain better visibility into product data, streamline processes, and maybe more proactive management with those real-time insights like we saw with the connected work cell. It can connect people, we can connect machines, sensors, and foster better collaboration and drive more innovation at a completely different level that wasn't really possible before. When you have all of these disconnected systems, it's really hard to get everything working together. But we're now at an age within the industry where we can start to connect and really link up all of these different systems. So if we to put it simply, then Windchill not only enhances PLM capabilities, but it also unlocks the potential for a full digital transformation, which is probably the ultimate type of collaboration if you were to look at things from a holistic view in that sense. So that's the ultimate goal. We know a lot of customers going through these digital transformations, and it pretty much always starts with wider adoption of PLM and making sure that everything is starting from there. So on that note, then, I'd like to extend my thanks to you all for attending. I hope you found this series useful and engaging. If not, hopefully it's at least been thought-provoking in some way. A significant amount of effort has gone into this series from our half. So I'd personally like to thank everyone at PDS Vision for their hard work in organising and being able to put this series together for you all, allowing us to share this information with you. So again, if you do have any feedback, please do let us know. Please do reach out. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'm always looking to see how we can make these series and webinars more engaging and more interesting for you also. Please do share your thoughts with us. But that being said, if we've got some time for Q&A, so if there are any questions, let's have a look. If not, as always, I will take them offline and ask them afterwards. I missed one of the webinars, part 3. Is it possible to get a recording of it? Yeah, again, all of the webinars are online. So if you head over to our website and go to the Learn tab, I believe it is, there's an on-demand webinar section. You should be able to find all of the previous webinars of this series that I've run in the past. Okay, I don't think there are any more questions, but I will stay online as always for a little bit longer. But if not, yeah, thank you all for joining.